HTML has some reserved characters. For example, if you just tried to write a greater than and less than sign in HTML, it's not going to show up the way you think. For example, if I said, my name is, and then you put a placeholder in there called name, but you have the greater than and less than signs in there, it looks like an HTML element, save that, open it up in your browser, and it doesn't show up. However, if you look in your source code, it is in there. And that's because your browser is going to automatically assume that that is, for some reason, somehow, an element. So instead, we need to use what are called HTML entities. These entities typically start with an ampersand, that's the and sign, and end with a semicolon, and they have some variation of lettering in between it. So if we said LT, that stands for less than, and let's do one more in here. We have GT, that's greater than, and I'm going to apply these to our element. Save it, view it in the browser, and it shows up the way we want it to show up. The less than sign shows up, the greater than symbol shows up, our element even shows up. Now if we view our source, that's because what we did was write the actual HTML entity for the greater than and less than symbols. So we're greater than, we actually wrote it out the long way instead of writing a character, because your browser interprets the character as part of an element. Now these entities are ways to create symbols, and it's not just limited to less than or greater than. If you wanted to add the and sign, seems easy enough. But in HTML, it would actually be AMP. That would be an ampersand. It's the and sign. But it also works for characters that you might not have available on your keyboard. For example, the copyright symbol. Most keyboards that I've seen don't have a copyright symbol. That character is just not common enough to actually put on a keyboard. So instead, in HTML, we write and, copy, semicolon, and that's a copyright symbol. And it even works for extra spaces. So if we said extra and added a ton of spaces here, versus NBSP, that stands for non-breaking space. We just add a number of these in here. And let's go take a look at what our page is presenting to us now. We have a less than, we have a greater than, the ampersand symbol shows up, copyright is working, extra spaces. In our code, we have all these spaces that doesn't show up. The browser automatically assumes you actually just meant one individual space. But with all of these characters, with all these entities, we've added additional spacing. There are HTML entities for almost every single character. Your task for this video is to create a new document. I want you to write out the less than, greater than, ampersand, copyright, and non-breaking space entities. Save and open the document. Verify that the characters have shown up properly. And if you want a list of more of these entities, feel free to hop on Google and do a search for a list of HTML entities.